Waipachiap, Waikwachkich, Kuxkulach, Atliku, Yayati, Chichamala. So it's welcome you all. We all come together here, and when we put our minds together, we can make good things happen. And we also acknowledge that the past is the past, and we can never go back there, but we can go forward in good ways, and we can be very mindful of that. So here we are, we're in this era of fires, floods, pandemics, slides, and all of these the effects of climate change that are certainly connected to our human life ways, and we're feeling them firsthand. And I'll also say that we Syilx are here, other Indigenous peoples are here as well, but we're here, and we're still who we are, and our language, our stories, our knowledge, our pedagogy is still with us. And we're also here to share it and extend that to others, collaborate. And we're also in this era, the colonial era has continued, but it's been in the news more often. With in the past year, we've had the 215 discovered at Kamloops, which was no surprise to the interior, the BC First Nations. We're very much aware of that, and but it's in the consciousness now. It's in the consciousness now, and this colonial project has been the residential school. We're going to learn more about it, but the bigger colonial project was to eliminate, erase Indigenous peoples, us Syilx and all the others from our homelands, so that others could have access to the lands, the natural resource wealth, and what's underneath, and so on, all of that. The plan was, let's get these Indigenous peoples on little reserves, and let's eliminate them so that we don't have to trouble with international law and treaties and all of that kind of stuff. So one of the what we're going to learn and how we're looking back on it is that it's not just local. We know it extends across Canada. When we get to the witness blanket, it comes from bits and pieces of residential schools across Canada. We also know that this colonial project was a global project. We know that in United States and Australia, New Zealand had similar projects, and also exchanged notes, so that South African apartheid regime took notes from the Canadian Indian residential school system. So, but here we are, and when I say that, we still have our knowledge, we still have our stories, our pedagogy, we've still got our strong spirits, we've still got our sense of humor, and so we've got one of our stories addresses this notion of looking back and reflection and praxis. So I'm just going to introduce Snk'lip Coyote. And a long time ago, before there were humans here, Snk'lip Coyote was walking along near the Ashnola River, where it joins the Snk'lip. There's a really high cliff overlooking a campsite there, and Snk'lip could hear some swoosh sounds. He was whoosh whoosh, and he looked up, and high above the cliff was Melkanoops, was Golden Eagle. Golden Eagle would swoop down and he would catch an updraft and just ride the breeze back up, and he would just sail on the breeze and soar and let out eagle screams, and he was just really having so much fun up there on the breeze. And the more Snk'lip watched Melkanoops, the more Snk'lip thought about what Snk'lip was doing, he thought, that should be me up there. Those are actually my ways. And so the more he thought about it, the more he got that into his head. And he walked over to the bottom of the cliff, and he started climbing up, and it was really steep. And he would climb and slide down, and he was determined he'd come and climb some more. And Snk'lip has really really good eyes, so he saw what Snk'lip was doing, and he flew down and said, "Snk'lip, what are you doing?" And Snk'lip told him, "Get lost." He says, "I'm going to show you." He says, you're not even doing it right. I'm going to show you how to do that properly." So anyways, he carried on. He kept sliding down, but finally, after a lot of struggle and sweat and scraped knees, and he was a little bloodied up, but he dusted himself off, and as he got to the top, and he stepped back, and he looked beyond the cliff, and he took a run, and he jumped out to catch an updraft and soar on the breeze. And then Snk'lip, when he got out there, realized he just had skinny little legs and skinny little arms, and he tried flapping them really frantically, and it didn't help. He started plummeting down. He tried twirling his tail, and that didn't help. He just kept plummeting down. And and he got so scared, he was screaming, he was howling, "Wow, wow, hoos!" And he just he started banging against the cliff, and his body parts were getting caught on the cliff, and he was getting just torn to pieces. And by the time he hit the bottom, parts of poor Snk'lip were just strung all over the place, and he landed in a splattered heap. And that was the end of Snk'lip. And sometime later, Syilx Fox, Snk'lip's brother, came along, and Syilx, he'd heard what Snk'lip had done, so he came looking, and he was sniffing. He could smell something really awful smelling. It was rotten and putrid, and when we looked around, and thought, "Oh, okay, there's Snk'lip." And these some of these bits of Snk'lip were so hard to even get near, that for some of them he used a stick and used a stick to gather them into a pile, and he really carefully gathered up all of the bits he could find, and he put them in a pile, as distasteful as some of it was. And then he breathed into the pile, and then he stepped over it 4 times. And then that pile transformed itself back into Coyote, back into Snk'lip, who rubbed his eyes and looked at his brother, and really annoyed, because he asked Fox, "Why are you waking me up when I was just having a little nap?" And so Fox just shook his head, and they carried on. And that story is one of our really fundamental stories about how knowledge is continuously produced, and how we think about the metaphor this way: is how do we understand the past? We gather up all of the bits, all of the experiences, all of the outcomes, all of the aspirations. We gather that up, and we have a dialogue. We create new understanding. We talk. We breathe into that pile. And it's not enough just to create new understanding. We have to make this new understanding part of our everyday lives. We have to ritualize it into practice with steps. So we step over it 4 times, and it comes back to life. And so it's another thing that's really neat about this story, because it's connected to many other stories as well, is that what's also being brought back to life and renewed is Coyote's gift. Coyote has a gift from creation, and that's the ability to transform monsters. So the Syilx and other indigenous peoples, particularly the interior Salish folks that I'm very connected to, related to, is that I know that some of the ethnographers and perspectives of our stories were that, oh, these are kind of like folk tales of primitive peoples and that sort of thing. So I'll state very clearly that these stories are not superstitious, and that our elders and our storytellers are some of the most pragmatic, really hard evidence kind of people. Show me or not going to believe you. And so it's not about folklore story monsters. This is about using monsters as metaphors, monsters who steal children, who eat children. So metaphorically, monsters are ideas, practices, ways that are destructive to children, destructive to the earth mother. So we need to transform those monsters so they're helpful and useful. So that's the positioning of Coyote and Fox as who we are as Syilx, and also who we are as humans. So as humans, we're positioned here, and our in Syilx term for human is Snk'lip, which means the dream and the spiral. So if you think about it this way, we're here in the present, we're looking into the past, we're trying to understand the past, gathering the bits, and we're creating this new understanding, and we're carrying it forward into the future for the future peoples. So we're this dream, vision, the spiral is what Snk'lip means. So we're never going into the past, but we're learning from the past and continuously carrying a new understanding forward. So in that kind of a relationship, this is what this project and the collaboration, the collective dialogue is about. It's about creating that new understanding, and the film that documents the story of making the witness blanket is actually called Picking Up the Pieces. So very substantial connections. This is what I invite all of you to, everyone watching, everyone participating, to do with us, is pick up your perspectives, your understanding, and we have dialogue, and we create a new understanding to create a better, more sustaining future. And that's what our task as parents, extended families are about, is all about. And that's what our responsibilities and our task as educators is all about, to give the students, the learners, and the future children. We need to give them the tools, resources, and pass on to them useful knowledge. Wisdom should come from us that's going to benefit them, that they can also carry on, and we make a practice of that. And that's what we're looking to do here. So, Limnant.